All right, go ahead, people. Dr. Nicole McCarty here. Yeah, I'm back. Thank you. Hey fam, how are you? Um, yes, I'm tired. I'm tired. There's been a lot going on, and I'm getting over something, which is why I sound like a nicer version of Darth Vader. But I wanted to talk about something today, and it's grief. There has been a lot of loss. I've experienced it personally. If as you look around, if you're on socials, if you just look around, watch the news, it's a lot. It's a lot, and oftentimes there are moments that arrive without warning, right? A phone call, a message, a sentence that changes the rhythm of your heart. It makes your breath stop. And so recently, I lost someone very near and dear to me. I've actually two people, because I lost someone else in my family last night. But recently, I lost my godbrother, completely unexpected, and then my cousin who'd been ailing for some time. And so my godbrother was young. Okay, he was young. He was full of life. Oh my goodness, a warrior for Christ, on fire for him. They just had his celebration of life, and I wasn't able to travel to it, but it was absolutely beautiful and amazing. It was so him, right? So I know he is smiling as he looks down, right? But his spirit was beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and we spoke often, right? I was looking forward to like catching him up on all the things, all of our travels and our experiences and our journey. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait till I get home and then I'll call him, right? And I assumed that there would be more time. We always assume there'll be more time, right? But sometimes life reminds us that time is not promised the way we think it is. Time is not promised, period, right? At any given moment, anything can happen to any one of us. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how much fame you have. It doesn't matter who you know. Like, none of that matters, you know? And so when loss comes unexpectedly, it doesn't just affect the heart, like momentarily. It affects the entire body. And oftentimes I think people kind of miss the signs and miss what grief looks like, what grief feels like, and the fact that it doesn't look the same for everyone. It doesn't feel the same for everyone. It looks differently depending on who the person is to you. And all of those things are valid, right? All of those things are valid. And so when loss comes unexpectedly, it doesn't just affect us emotionally, right? It's the entire body. And so I want you to know that grief is not only a feeling. It's not just feeling sad, right? Grief is biological, very much so. Grief is physical, grief is mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual. Grief moves through every system within us. It does. And understanding that is an important part of healing, because you know many people believe grief only believe it only lives in the heart, right? Or the mind. And they feel like, well, if I can just do enough to stay busy, do enough to distract myself, do enough, then I can like trick my mind into being okay. That's not how it works. It's just not how it works. Yeah, because grief actually lives in the body. So here's a crash course. If you've ever worked with me, you know that communication is key, right? Our body is always communicating with us in some shape, form, or fashion, whether you acknowledge it or not. There's always communication, constant communication. And every emotion we experience, whether it's joy, fear, anger, sadness, it triggers a chemical and neurological response. It just does. And grief is no different. When we experience the loss of someone we love, no less, our brain perceives that loss as a form of trauma. And it creates this disruption that echoes through the system. And so your nervous system shifts, your hormones change, your immune system responds. In fact, grief can affect the body in several ways. And it's easy to miss if you're not paying attention. And so while some people can experience like extreme fatigue, they've been like, oh gosh, I'm so tired, I'm so exhausted. Others struggle to sleep. Some lose their appetite. Others feel the urge to eat more than usual. Headaches can appear, chest tightness can appear, muscle aches can happen. The digestive system can slow down, or it can become irritated. And this happens because grief activates that stress response in the system in your body. Okay? And so your cortisol levels, they rise. Your adrenaline may surge. The nervous system moves into this heightened sense of alertness, right? Even when you're trying to rest, which is why you can be tired as all get out, but you can't sleep. And so this is why many people after a loss, they're like, I'm exhausted, but I just cannot sleep, or I feel numb and overwhelmed all at the same time. Yeah, the body is trying to process something that it cannot fully understand, and that's hard. That's hard. So that's the physical part. The emotional part is what we are, I think, most accustomed to, if you will. Grief impacts the brain, right? The same areas of the brain that process emotional pain overlap with the areas that process physical pain. Yep. And so this is why like heartbreak can literally feel like pain in your chest. It's not your imagination. It's physiology. Your brain is attempting to make sense of absence. And someone who was once present in our daily rhythm, our weekly rhythm, our regular rhythm of life, and is suddenly no longer there, the mind searches for answers, and the heart remembers this, and the body feels, it echoes that connection, right? Now, for those of us who know the Lord, right? And for those of us who walk in faith, there's spiritual grief, right? There's a spiritual component. And this is where grief often carries like another dimension, and it's great, right? Because there's sadness, but on the opposite end of the spectrum that's also coexisting just as strong, there's hope. And so in my case, with my godbrother, with my cousin, with my he's a previous pastor, with like y'all, there's so much loss happening. It's kind of scary. But in those cases, with all of those people, I know that they knew Christ, and they are warriors for Christ. And so I believe that all of them are well, right? They are well in and with Christ, and they are resting, and they are at peace, and that truth brings peace. Not that peace overwhelms and completely overtakes any of the other systems and processes. No, but it can coexist, right? And so even with faith, even if you are the most faithful person, grief still touches you deeply, because love leaves an imprint on the soul. And having faith doesn't remove grief. It doesn't. Faith holds us through it, though. And that's the beautiful part. Scripture reminds us that even Jesus wept. Grief is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of love. It's a sign of strength. And so, oftentimes when we experience loss, we also tend to have a shift in perspective. Sometimes it's short lasting and sometimes it's long lasting, you know? And so one of the things that happens after a loss, especially after an unexpected loss, is that suddenly life becomes clearer. Like your priorities tend to shift. You start asking different questions. You think about your health, your family, your purpose, your time. You begin to ask questions like, am I taking care of my body? Am I nurturing my relationships? Am I living in alignment with what truly matters, like with what God intends for me? You know, loss often awakens something within us because it reminds us how precious life can be. Yeah. It reminds us how precious life is. And so wellness plays a role in this, doesn't it? Yep, it does. You know, I always bring it home, right? And so this is where wellness becomes essential. And it's not wellness in the form of you have it all together and you're completely unaffected and life goes on as usual. That's not wellness. That's actually very unhealthy. It's not pretending that things are okay. No. Wellness is about supporting. It's about supporting the mind, the body, the heart, the spirit as they move through difficult experiences. And while we are talking about loss of life, it can be loss of anything, right? It can be failing relationships. It can be a failing business. It can be loss of the person who you once were, you know? It's not relegated to just death, right? But when grief enters our lives, our bodies need care. Our bodies need compassion. Our bodies need patience. You know, and there are several ways in which wellness supports the grieving process. You know, physical wellness, for instance. My phones are going off. Sorry, y'all. But physical wellness, for instance, grief places stress on the body. So caring for the physical body becomes very important. This may include like rest when your body needs rest. Oftentimes when people experience loss or grief, they get really, really busy. They get really, really busy. They do all the things. Guess what? I'm one of those people. I'm a work in progress, y'all. I'm one of those people. I'm really, really busy and I block it out. I block it out until I can't. And when I can't, it collapses on me. And so physical wellness, like resting when your body needs rest, no matter what is happening around you, that's key. You know, gentle movements like walking or stretching or, you know, hydrating regularly, eating nourishing foods. I mean, I understand you can eat some comfort foods in there too, you know, but make sure you get some nourishment in your system. But these small actions can help. They can help regulate your nervous system as you process and support healing. Emotional wellness. Here's the thing. Here's the thing that I think some people miss. Grief must be expressed, not suppressed, not rushed, not forced into timelines like, oh, you should be over that by now. No. Talking about the person you lost as much as you want, remembering them, sharing stories, looking at pictures and remembering the stories surrounding the pictures and the video, allowing the tears to come and being okay when they do. These emotional expressions allow the body to release the energy of grief rather than storing it inside. Storing it inside can be toxic. Storing it inside leads to inflammation. Storing it inside leads to chronic disease. Storing it inside is never good. And so you have your physical, you have your emotional, and then you have your mental, right? The mind often replays memories after loss. The mind often replays memories after loss. Yep. Sometimes we think about the last conversation, the last message, the things we wish we had said. We hear their voice. And so practices like prayer and journaling and meditation, counseling, talking to someone, those things can help like organize all the thoughts, and create the space for healing. Or my 3-year-old. And then there is spiritual wellness. And, this is, like I said, spiritual is the one that carries, right? And so faith can be a powerful source of strength during grief. Again, prayer reconnects the heart. It helps to make sense of things that you can't possibly understand because we aren't God, right? Scripture helps to give us that reassurance, right? That God is in control, and that even though we may not always understand why things happen, He has the master plan, and sometimes it's not. He's not always going to share why. He may never share why with you. He may. I mean, who knows, right? Community reminds us that we are not alone, right? And that we can come together and we can cry together, but we can laugh together, we can pray together, we can love together. And so spiritual wellness allows grief to exist alongside people. It allows grief to exist without without solitude, So in that, and being responsible in how we approach and navigate grief, it also simultaneously allows us to honor the legacy of those we love. And that's the beautiful part. I think one of the most meaningful ways to move through grief is by honoring the life of the people we lost, right? Like my godbrother was a warrior for Christ. My cousin was a warrior for Christ. And my previous pastor, warrior for Christ. Like they lived with faith. They lived with purpose. And when someone like that leaves the imprint on your life, and their legacy continues, throughout your life in the way you live. It continues in the way you love, right? It continues in the values that you carry forward. It continues in the way you care for your own wellness, right? And the wellness of others. Like, it doesn't just stop when they stop. And so, because sometimes the greatest tribute that we can offer to those that we've loved and lost is the gift of living intentionally, right? That intentionality in living and existing and coexisting and loving and being. Yeah, sometimes that's the greatest gift. The gentle reminder is this: loss reminds us that life is fragile. And it's so easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle and trying to live and survive in these streets that we can forget that life is fragile. But life is fragile, y'all. But it is also deeply, deeply meaningful. Every conversation matters. Every moment matters. Every act of love matters. And while grief may walk beside us for a while, it also reminds us how deeply we are and how capable we are of loving. And that love never disappears, right? Love simply changes form. Even now, I lost my grandfather in April. I don't even know what month it is. Yeah, last April. I lost my bonus dad in March. Like, oh gosh. How many years? Over 20 years ago? Wait. No, 10 years ago? No, that's not right. Yeah, over 20 years ago, I think. I don't know. It's been a long time. And guess what? I can still hear their voice. I can still hear their laugh. I can still see them. I still talk to them. I do. My love is still just as strong for them. And I've become a better person because of them, even in their physical absence, you know? And so I say to you, to anyone who's walking through grief today, remember this: your body may feel the weight of loss, and that's okay. Your mind may struggle to understand, and that's okay. Your heart may ache. Your heart may ache deeply, and that's okay. But understand, healing is not about forgetting. Healing is about allowing the love and the memory of those you've loved and you've lost to exist while continuing to live fully and intentionally. And so I say to you, care for your body, care for your spirit, care for the people who remain beside you. And remember that the love you shared with those who are gone, it continues to shape how you live today. Because love in its truest form never dies. Never. It just doesn't. It simply lives on in us. So, I hope this was helpful. It was on my heart, partly because I'm experiencing some of this. I'm going through. Oh my God, there are so many things happening in our life, and not all of them are bad. Some of them are really good, but it's a lot. And then these losses kind of gut punched me a little, and it affected my immune system because I caught the cooties. Okay. It affected my energy because I've been absolutely exhausted. It's affected my sleep. My sleep has been erratic. And while the house looks absolutely insane, I have fought the urge to attack it with vengeance. And instead, I've decided to give my body the rest it needs and give my body the attention it needs. And if I need to cry, I cry. I look at pictures. I remember, I ponder on memories, and it's okay. And so I say to you, and y'all excuse my white lips, y'all, sorry. This was impromptu. But I say to you, it's okay. It's okay. Continue to love and continue to live intentionally. And know that they're never gone, but they're always with you. They're always with you. And if you're grieving something and not someone, then know that God is with you through that too. Yeah, He's with you through the loss of. He's with you through the life transition. He's with you through the challenges. He's with you through the speed bumps. He's with you through it all. There's a testimony that I will share as our journey rounds up, because I do believe it's coming to a head, and I'm kind of excited about that. But there's a testimony that I will share in due time. But in the interim, I want you to remember that even if you're not a believer, right? I would encourage you to know that God hears you and God loves you, regardless of how you feel about Him. And He's always with you. And all you have to do is ask. There's no big ceremony, no pomp and circumstance. All you have to do is ask. In the quiet moments, or just you. And He will meet you where you are. So anyway, I'm going to stop rambling and go rescue my mom, because my 3-year-old is in there. So anyway, I love you, and I will talk to you later. Love and blessings. Toodles.